What's happening, people? And welcome back to another episode of the Park Lane Podcast, episode number 12 today. And guess what? My good old friend Dave is back. Welcome back, Dave. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I've got quite a lot to say, so it's been a while.
Mate, I like it. I liked how you started soft, low-voiced. I do not expect that will continue. But let's get the admin stuff out the way. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell if you want to stay up to date on all of the content that we offer on the channel. If you're listening on any podcast platform, do not forget to follow and also leave us a nice 5-star review if you're enjoying what we are saying. Right, so let's get into it then, Dave. Let's go over another disastrous week at Tottenham. And I say disastrous. You know, some fans will sit there and say, fourth in the Premier League. We're into the last 16 of the Champions League. But how many times can we continually say that before, something needs to change at the football club? World Cup break couldn't come soon enough. But let's talk about Liverpool, okay? It's always a difficult game against Liverpool, okay? That's the biggest cliche, but it always is, right? Very, very good footballing side. But if we're completely honest, we're 13 points ahead of them before the start of the kickoff. And, we could have just wiped the floor with them, realistically. They're in bad form, started the season poorly. And, of course, Spurs once again just decided to let a team have a 2-goal lead.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about Liverpool, but I'm going to talk about us as a whole. With the whole 2-0 lead thing. So that's the 5th game in a row, the last game we played, that we've gone 2-0 down, which is quite frankly fucking shocking. That's horrendous. I don't care who you are. Now, I'm not Conte out, but you can't start questioning where we are tactically for us to start games the way we do, to start first halves the way we do, to constantly have to go 2-0 down to show some form of grit, some form of fight. It's embarrassing. It's tiring. Obviously, I've taken a couple of weeks off because, my rage could not contain itself on YouTube and I'd end up being banned. So I'm trying to be as calm and as rational as I possibly can. But there is so many passengers in this squad. So many players who for so long we have said are not up to the job. We're looking at Ben Davies still playing in the team where he's been 5 years ago, he was a backup. Now he's a starter. You've got Davinson Sanchez, who we paid over 40 million for, who is like Bambi on ice playing ball. He's hopeless. Eric Dyer, yes, granted, he's played pretty well, but still, again, realistically, he's a centre midfielder who moved to centre back because he couldn't get in centre midfield, and he only got back into centre back because Jan and Toby had left.
Let's not forget his stint at right back.
Exactly, and talking of right backs, Jed Spence showed more in a 15-minute cameo against Nottingham Forest than Real or Matt Doherty have shown all season. It's getting to the point where I don't understand what Conte sees in Royale. It's like he's got nudes of his daughter that he's blackmailing him with or something. Because how can he keep picking him, watching how poor he is every single week? It's that bad that when Doxy comes on, we think he's better, but he's just as shit. He's just a tiny bit better than Emerson. So I'm kind of at my wit's end with it. I just think that you look at the fuckers down the road, you look at how they're playing, the brand of football they're playing. People keep saying, oh, they haven't played anyone. Well, they have. They'll get found out. Well, they haven't. Or they're one injury away from a problem where they didn't get an injury. It reminds me of what everyone said about Leicester when Leicester won the league. Oh, they're 1 or 2 injuries away. They'll fall away. We're going into December World Cup or November World Cup, a break in the season. they're right at the top. They're top of the league. So you can't deny that. And yes, we are, fourth now?
Yeah, fourth.
And yeah, it's our best ever start to a season. Great. But it's just not clicking. And people can sit there and they can say, yeah, but we've had injuries and we've had this and we've had that. It doesn't matter. We were meant to strengthen the squad. The squad is what we spent all this money on the summer, strengthening the overall squad. Passengers in the team getting us buying, and like we're going life and death with Bournemouth and Marseille. Life and death with them. It's like, yeah, it's great where we are. It's great we're in the last 16 of the Champions League. We've got AC Milan. Great. But if we carry on playing the way we're playing, we won't even get Europa League football. Because eventually teams are going to find us out. Well, they are finding us out. And it consistently can't carry on the way it is. It either needs to be properly backed in January. And I know people say, oh, but January is a hard window. It doesn't matter. You look at where we are in the league, you've got to back your manager. You've got to turn around and say, okay, what do you need? We'll clearly need a wing-backs. Your wing-backs, I mean, Brian Sessegnon, he's got to the point now where surely everybody can admit he's just not enough. I like Sessegnon, but he's just not good enough for the level we need at left back. Emerson Royale is a pub footballer, but he spent £1 million learning English and learning how to be in this country. I fuck £1 he'd still be a shit footballer. So Kulu coming back is massive. I think it makes a huge difference to us moving forward. But even the stalwart team, I know Kane's got 9 in 10 or whatever it is this season in the league on 11. Last couple of games, he looks tired. He looks hopeless. Sonny getting injured. We don't want to miss him hopeless this season. Everything's football, not progressive. We don't seem to be attacking. We look at any opportunity we can to turn around and go back. I remember against Bournemouth, corner. We took the corner, and 2 seconds later, the ball was back with Lloris. I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Like, how is this happening? So for me, I don't want Conte out, but I do think you have to start looking at him and question the decisions he is making, because what do you think? They ain't great.
Yeah. No, I kind of just let you go then, lad, because, you needed to kind of release it all and just, get it all out. But, I'm 100%, in the same path and in the same, position as you. I'm not Conte out, but I'm starting to wonder what it takes for it to start to get that way. Because at some point you have to start questioning tactics, right? At some point you have to start questioning mentality. There is no way on this God's earth that the players, right, are told that, well, maybe they are, right? There's no way they can sit there off their own accord and think, do you know what we'll do? We were good last season when we were free-flowing, attacking football. So what we'll do this season was we'll just sit back and we'll go 2-0 down, make it a bit of a challenge because the league's too easy. And that's what it feels like sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It feels like that. And I kind of get it, right? I kind of get that, like, Antonio Conte, he wants to be in the game at half-time, right? If it's 1-0 up, great. If it's 0-0, just as good. Because second half, we have more energy. We have more, fitness. We have the ability to be able to score goals, and we will win in the second half, right? But that's a fucking dangerous game to start playing, as we found out. And at some point, when you concede, as you say, up to today, when you concede 2 goals in the first half for the last 5 games, at which point do you say, hang on a minute? And this is one of the, quote unquote, best managers in the world. Okay? At which point do you say, this isn't really working? And even if as a fan, if we went 2-0 down against Liverpool, but we were fucking pummeling them and they hit us on the counter-attack, right? And, we had goals cleared off the line. We had this and that and the other, right? I could sit there as a fan and say, do you know what? It was unlucky, right? We tried. We had a lot of chances. We gave it everything, but we lost. I'm not seeing that until 65, 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
At which point do you say, this team can't continually try and score 3 goals in 20 minutes. We might as well just not bother turning up and just let them kick the ball about for the first 70 minutes. And then we'll come on and say, oh, let's give it a go now. Like, it doesn't make any sense. We're not the best team in the world. This isn't like a prime Barcelona squad, with the likes of Ronaldinho in it, that can just turn up and in an instant, change a game. This is a team of, mediocre Premier League players in some positions. And, I understand, the summer was quantity. What I'm hearing is January is quality. But at some point, you do have to question the manager. And, you also have to look at contract extensions for Antonio Conte. Why would he sign a new contract without getting the players that he wants? It's just, I don't know. The whole thing.
You've kind of hit the nail on the head there in a way, and that's what I was going to touch upon. I kind of feel like this is a look to the board kind of thing. Like, is he setting us up tactically like that? So he looks to Levy and Enoch and says, "Look what I'm working with here."
Maybe, but then they're sitting there going, well, you're only 4th in the Premier League.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where we are, though. Like, when you're getting Bournemouth, playing Bournemouth, and they're playing like prime Barcelona, we're making Liverpool, who've been dead form lately, look like prime Spain. Mo Salah looking like he's the best striker in the world again, when Eric Dyer's making shitty mistakes. And the mistakes as well, it's constant. Yeah. It's tiring being a Tottenham fan. I was so full of hope before this season started about the direction we were moving in. And, I understand Conte does need time. He does need to be able to get all of his own players. And you look at Arteta, what Arteta's doing at Arsenal, that's because he's had the time to be able to do that. He's had the time to get the players in that he wants to get in and the system that he wants and get rid of the players that he wants. And I kind of think Conte kind of needs to do the same. But tactically, when you're setting up against a Bournemouth, for example, and you're setting up to sit and let them dominate possession, I can't understand why. I cannot understand it. It's like he feels like the players we have are not good enough to be able to go out and win a game in the fashion that he wants us to win the game. I know Conte likes to sit back and everything else, but he's always had the players to be able to do that. You look at the wing backs at Inter.
But then this is what I was saying in my rant. Sorry, I'll come back to you quickly. But that's what I was saying in my rant, right? That he's always played like that. But as a, I'm going to use my fingers again, world-class manager, surely you have to look at that and say, well, that's not going to work for this team. He surely doesn't only have one plan.
No, and that's what it feels like. It feels like we don't have a plan B. It's, okay, let's go out. Let's keep it tight for the first half. I don't think they go out to concede 2 goals. I think they go out, let's keep it tight for the first half. Let's sit together, stick together, and make it difficult for teams to play against us. And then we go 2-0 down, and it's like, oh, shit, we've got to do something now. Quick, let's attack. Like the Liverpool game, and everyone was like, oh, they were so brave in the second half. Piss off. The damage was done in the first half. I watched 45 minutes of pure shit and turn it off. Because it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. If you had a job, right, you worked full time, and you went to your work, and for 4 hours, half your day, you sat in the toilet, would you still have a job? Would you still have a job a week later?
No, but if your manager allowed you to do that, who would get the blame?
Exactly, but but then your manager gets questioned. But our manager doesn't get questioned because everyone's like, oh, you can't be Conte out. I'm not Conte out. But the decisions he's making are questionable. The constant picking of Emerson Royale is questionable. No matter what you say, you think, you cannot keep selecting. I've seen Juventus want to buy him now. Fuck me, if you can get 10 million for him, ship him off.
Oh, if you can get away. $1 million, 500 grand, exactly. I don't care.
Reimburse him for his English lessons and tell him to get Italian lessons. But it's tiresome. It's frustrating. I'm bored of it. We got Leeds today, and Leeds aren't on great form, but we'll make them look unbelievable. We'll make Brandon Harrison look like Iniesta. We'll make Bamford look like prime Ronaldo. It's just the way we do things. Then in the second half, we'll turn up because we've got something to play for. Bullshit. We've got something to play for in the first half. Those up down the road are making a mockery of this league. They're Man City. They're dominating it. They are dominating it. The football's good. They're grinding out results. They're doing what needs to be done. Yes, and at the start of the season, you could say about Tottenham, yeah, but we are getting results. Yeah, but now we're not. Yeah. And now's the time it needs to fix up. And if you can't fix it up, and 30 Cent's made a great point, what the fuck has Jeff Spence done? Why can't he get a look in? Like every single fan on the touchline is watching these right backs come in and going, well, we've had times when he's played Perisic at right wing back. And I'm thinking, you're playing a left, you got a right wing back on the bench. Yeah, he's young, but give him a chance. Integrate him. The other two clearly aren't good enough. And left wing back is the problem. You doggy, whatever his name is, we got from Udinese. You know, I don't understand why we would let him go back there. When you look at how poor our wing back options are. I don't know if we've got some sort of deal where we can get him over in January, but
yeah, I think those kind of deals are part of the transfer. You know, it's like they would be willing to sell to us, but we have to allow him to stay. And if you turn down that deal and try and go in January, you still may not get it done, and then you end up getting picked by somebody else. I suppose that's what it is. But I agree with you. We will touch on Jed Spence, but just want to talk very quickly about Kulusevski, because he came back into the team, late on against Liverpool. And, from what I saw from him, I was skeptical, right? I was on LFC Day Trippers on the Friday night, and then we had our show on the Saturday, right? And I said, there's no chance he's got any legs yet. I didn't believe that he would be half the player he was right now. I still didn't think he was fit. But looking at how he came on, looking at how he performed, I was quietly confident about him. Within 5 minutes or so, he got an assist for Harry Kane. And he looked sharp. He looked like he had the bit between his teeth. And I was surprised of how good he looked. Some of these players, they struggle when they come back from injuries, right? And they struggle to find that form that they had before. But I tell you what, he didn't look like he'd lost a hell of a lot. I was really impressed with him. What did you think about Kulusevski's return?
Mate, I love Kulu. I think he's so underrated by a lot of opposition fans as well. I knew as soon as he come back, he'd make a difference because he does give us that creative spark. Obviously, if he had been fit and firing from the start of the season, we might have been talking about something different, because when he plays, it's like the forward line plays, because he makes things happen. He's progressive. He picks up the ball and he runs at the fullbacks, or he picks up the ball, gives and goes, and makes that move. He's not so, let's get the ball, let's go back to the left back, back to the centre back, back to the centre back, back to the goalkeeper, back to the centre back, all then back to him, or let's go back again just to be sure. That's not dominating possession, in my opinion. That's protecting possession. But just only Sonny, I believe. I think Kulu and Richarlison are back. So we're probably a big drift in betting because of how shit we've been lately. Going 2-0 down. You probably have to put Spurs to be 2-0 down at half time. It's probably even odds because it's that likely to happen. But I think Kulu adds such a dynamic to our team that it's something that we've really, really missed, because Son's form's fallen off a cliff. The injury might do him good. It feels like a lot of the players are protecting themselves for the World Cup, because it's like they're not giving everything, if that makes sense. Harry Kane's probably one of the only ones that's given absolutely everything, and the players that aren't going. But it feels like they have been protecting themselves. Who knows? Come January or end of December, Boxing Day, we could come back and be like, oh, you know what? We'll look at the form we picked up, because it won't surprise me if we do come back. Like Romero, you're saying things like, oh, he's got muscle fatigue, so he's got to rest. Bullshit, mate. You don't want to get injured for a World Cup. He's taking 2 games off. And you've got people like Bentancur who's running his arse off no matter what. And that's the sort of commitment you need. There has to be some form of change at this club, because ENIC have been in charge of Tottenham now for 22 years, I believe. We've got 1 League Cup in that time. And they've come close a few times. Managers have come close. Never have pushed on to that final stage. This is an opportunity now where, I said it when Conte first came in, this was like a Hail Mary for Daniel Levy. He knows he's under the cosh. He knows he's under pressure. He knows he's got to get something back because the fans are getting restless. So in January, we'll see where we're at, and we'll see what type of backing he's going to get. Because I tell you now, if he doesn't get the backing he wants, he will be off, and then we'll have the romantic return of Pochettino, which will be a failure in my opinion.
Yeah, what you've said there is interesting. I do want to touch on Kulusevski for a second because I agree with everything that you said about him. But the one thing I think he adds, which is completely different to the majority of players that play in his position, right? Let's just use a couple of really quick examples, right? I'm just pulling them off the top of my head. Let's look at the likes of Bukayo Saka and Mohamed Salah, right? What makes him different to both of those players is his height and his build. The majority
Yeah.
of players that play in his position are short and pacey. What he has is reasonable pace, but he does also have strength, which is a huge asset in that kind of position. It's not all about running at wingers, fullbacks, cutting inside and things like that. What also is good for him is the ability to hold a player off, make a quick turn. He's left-footed, right? So, as far as I remember, his ability to make in-swinging crosses and things like that is really, really beneficial. But I agree. A lot of the players now are very scared. If I was the likes of Christian Romero, for example, he's never been to a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? The first time that you get to play in a World Cup for your country and you get injured just before.
Yep.
I get it. I do get it. I get it. But, it's just that something needs to change. And going into January, we will talk more about this during the World Cup break and things like that. But going into January, I'll keep reiterating it. But all I've read is that it was about quantity. Yeah, quantity in the summer and quality in January.
Whether that tells me they'll have one or two. They'll have one or two quality players in January.
Here's a shout from Frankie. Decky is our modern day Bale.
Yeah, I mean, not the same impact as Bale, obviously, because Bale was another level. But I get what you mean in terms of his ability to change the game and to impact the game. He showed that against Liverpool in 2 minutes. He did more against Liverpool in 2 minutes than Richarlison, Son have done for the whole season. Yeah. It's been that bad. We've had to play Perisic up front. He's not forward. Showed that when that header he missed against Liverpool. So he brings so much to our team, and we have massively missed him. But I do feel like that you are right in his build does make a massive difference. His strength is something that other wing players don't have, and he is so good at cutting in that left and whipping in those whipping crosses towards the back post. So good at it, and but he has the ability to go down on the right foot, down on his right, and cross in with his right foot as well. So him being back is a major positive for us. But the drop in form is such a worry. It's tiring. I don't really know what I can say about it anymore. I'm not as angry as I usually am because I've just had enough, mate. Like it broke me.
And plus, StreamYard tried to ban you from the software we used.
Yeah, exactly.
So for those that don't know, the software that we use to stream live is called StreamYard, and they tried to ban Dave for his language. So
yeah, so I'm trying to rein it in a bit now, but that's why I had to take a week off, mate. 2 weeks off, because if I'd have come on, I wouldn't have been allowed on no more. Yeah, I was raging, absolutely raging, and you've seen in the WhatsApp group that my colourful language shows its face in there because it just pisses me off. Because like I said to you before, and I've said to many people, I am the only Tottenham fan in a family full of Arsenal and Chelsea fans. So for me, it's painful, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's painful because the "what have you won" stick tag, it gets branded to me every day, no matter what. We picked Arsenal to Champions League last season, but what have you won? And that's what I hear all the time. So I'm tired of it. I just want some success, and I want to be able to go, well, that's what we've won. Yeah, you're right, Frankie. I'm having to be withdrawn. If I wanted to, I would be, I'd be cursing away. But yeah, tired of it. I want to be able to go to my family parties and be like, yeah, look, this is what we won.
Yeah, no, I get it. I want to be quick before we move on to anything else. I want to shout out Dirty Sanchez, who's in the chat today, because they have a bit of an OG on the channel, always in the comments and commenting. So big shout out to you. Thanks for your support. We do appreciate it. Yeah, so let's move on to something a little bit more exciting, and that's Spurs being knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Nothing really changes, does it? I put a bold statement on Twitter at the
No.
start of this season that Spurs would win a cup this season, right? Now, in my head, it was the Carabao Cup, okay? And look at us now, we're already out of it. Now, we still are in one, at least, well, technically 2 cup competitions. We ain't winning the Champions League, let's be honest. So all of my reputation, which is not a lot, relies on the FA Cup now. Yeah. Nottingham Forest. They're a shit team, aren't they? Christ alive. How on earth does Spurs A go 2-0 down to Nottingham Forest and B let Jesse Lingard do that fucking stupid FIFA celebration? I don't even know how to do it on FIFA, let alone do it on the bloody football pitch. It's just an absolute riot, isn't it? Again, we were just all over the place. And for those who say that we rested players, it was as strong as it bloody gets.
Yeah, and it was just worse. They played the second team.
I know.
Half the players that played against us don't even start in the league. And like I said to you in the chat, the Carabao Cup, yeah, it's not the greatest competition in the world. I think it. It's a cup, mate. It's a winner's medal. It's something. You win against Forest in 16. It's one of the easiest to get to the final of. We should know. We got to the final loads of it. We just keep losing. But it's the easiest competition to get to the final. Look at the teams that have gone out already. And you're like, it's probably one of the best times to be in it. One of the best times to try and win it. So for me, it's like, it's a prime opportunity. And these players don't win silverware. So why are they not looking at the Carabao Cup going, you know what, boys? 4 or 5 games, we win this. Look, we got Forest. Forest is a curse for me because I was going to go Forest in the FA Cup. They knocked us out last season, but I couldn't go because I caught COVID. And then I was going to go the time just gone, but I couldn't go again because I have work commitments. So every time I don't go, we tend to lose. And we lose badly and embarrassingly. So maybe I'm a bit of a bad luck. Maybe next time I just need to sack everything off and go. But like I said to you, we make teams look so good. Make teams look unbelievable. And to me, that's the worst about it. Because, one of my mates, Russell, is an Arsenal fan, right? And he says, and we chat about football all the time. He's a good Arsenal fan. He's a good egg. He's not a dickhead. And he was saying to me, like, I like Spurs, but fuck me, you're shit to watch. And I'm like, I know, mate. He's like, you see how we're playing and like that. Do you not think we'd have been better in the Champions League? Yeah, we probably would have done. Because we look absolutely hopeless. It is the most boring Tottenham. It's that same old saying, boring Tottenham. Because that's what it is. It's boring. I've had enough of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Forest was shit. We're shit. We made Forest look prime Barcelona. And I keep saying the same thing every single game. And I'm hoping today against Leeds that we actually show up and something changes and we go on a 4-0 win. You're Mr. Positivity, so I'm sure you'll brief some of that.
Oh, it's draining. It's draining, mate. It's draining. I saw that Frankie's lost his head after being 1 week of being Mr. Positive. But you are true. We make them look like incredible footballers. Leo, at least not we forget about the return of Serge Aurier, who absolutely ran riot against Ryan Sessegnon.
Yep. Lingard's got a header.
A player that we
He's
gave
5
away.
foot, mate.
Mate.
That's what I mean. I made this comment before, and I said about it before. Our decline in right backs and recruitment is fucking shocking. We went from Kyle Walker to Kieran Trippier to Serge Aurier to Matt Doherty to Emerson Royale. Like, next is going to get Barry from the Dog and Duck to come play right back. That's kind of the level we're getting to now.
Do you know what? I'd rather have Luca or Alan Hutton play
100%. 100%. He's taking cross a ball, and that's the worst part. And the thing about Emerson is, right, he gets into good positions. He does get into good positions, but his delivery is, he'd be a shit postman. That's all I'm saying.
Right, talking about right wing backs, and we did touch on it earlier, bringing up Dirty Sanchez's comment saying free Jed in it. Jed Spence came on around 65 minutes against Nottingham Forest, and don't know about you. At this point, we were 2-0 down. I didn't turn the TV off, but 2-0 down, and he comes on, and so my eyes were just constantly on him to see, how he performed and how he played. And did he look scared? Were players not passing the ball to him because they weren't sure how well he'd be in possession, and things like that? I tell you what, he looked confident, he looked fast, he looked strong. There was a run that he made, out from right wing back, up the pitch. He overran the ball a couple of times but kept possession and won a free kick kind of in the centre of the park.
Yeah,
and I thought, wow. This is good. And the more the game evolved, the more players were passing the ball to him, and the more he was making runs. And he likes to get forward, and he likes to get in the box. And if I've said this every single week, but I see no reason. Actually, only see positive reasons of why he should start today. And most of the positive reasons are obviously his performance, but the other ones are exactly what we talked about earlier, and that is that players are going to be worried about the World Cup. And, he's not going to the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect opportunity to allow him to play today. Will he play? 100% not. Should he play? 100% yes.
Emerson Royale will play. Yeah, and that's the way it is. Emerson Royale will play. And you are right about Spence. He, like I said to you at the start of the show, he did more in his 10-minute cameo than Emerson Royale's pretty much done all season, and Doherty's done all season. And it's so what my most frustrating thing is, right? Is that Spurs were linked. Tomiyasu is at Arsenal now.
Yeah.
Spurs had the option, Emerson or Tomiyasu. We chose Emerson Royale. Tomiyasu looks unbelievable at right back. And then you look at Emerson Royale, who looks absolutely hopeless. So I don't think. Like I said, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's got some blackmail over Conte or why he gets played every single time. You know what pisses me off about Emerson more? He posts stupid tweets. Is this
the Emerson Royale show?
No, I'm sorry, but he does. He posts stupid tweets like, coming up, look at this. And everyone's like, fuck off your shit,
But he probably doesn't tweet them, does he? Let's be honest.
No, in terms of Jed Spence, I think that Conte surely must be able to see now that, young, but sometimes you've got to give youth that chance. Sometimes you've got to give him the option. If he's persisting with someone like Sessegnon, who, quite frankly, isn't good enough, Jed Spence deserves an opportunity. He's 21. He's not that young. I know Conte likes to make sure people are drilled into his system before he puts them in the team, but I'll be honest with you, our fullbacks aren't drilled into a system right now. So what's he got to lose? So I do think he did a lot more. His ball progression was a lot better. He actually made progressive runs, attacking runs. He actually went and attacked their fullbacks and their wing backs, which made a difference and helped us get further up the pitch and create opportunities. So, he created the opportunity for the Richarlison goal by his run forward, which unfortunately was offside. So, will he start? No. Should he start? Yes.
Yeah. But then we say the same every week. And so, what changes? Nothing.
Yep. Right. Aren't we?
Yeah. Let's move on. Actually, we'll read out Frankie's comment. Usually the issue with young players is confidence. Clearly, Spence has that in abundance. Now, that could be the downfall and the negativity of why he doesn't get played. I'll kind of real quickly talk about this before we move on. And, the problem for Conte could be his attitude in terms of how much confidence he has, and how much that he believes he should be playing, and he should believe that. But sometimes, with Conte, he wants players to show it and be picked, and not kind of talk about it, and kind of you don't know what he's like, whether he sulks behind the scenes or things like that. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to find out. I see that we're also now linked again with Max Aarons, a player we should have signed about 5 years ago. So,
basically, you're going to be linked to Leandro Damiao next. Honestly,
exactly.
come on. Go out, break the bank, get Denzel Dumfries, and be done with it.
Well, we should have got him before we signed. He moved on, shouldn't we?
Emerson?
Really? Yeah. He was about 13 million quid at the time.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's
right.
50.
Yeah. Let's talk about today's game. Last game before the World Cup. I tell you what, let's put aside for 1 second the human rights issues, which I know is extremely difficult in a place like that, and everything else. I am excited for the World Cup. I'm not going to be boycotting it. I will be watching it. And, quick teaser for you all. We will be still on the show every week. We're going to do a kind of Spurs lowdown where we talk about all the players, the games they played, and, how they got on their individual games. So lots of World Cup for us to be watching to keep an eye on those Spurs players. But let's talk about today's game. I want to first of all switch up a little bit, and I want to go through our lineups for the game. Okay, I believe that Richarlison and Kulusevski should start. Okay,
yep,
along with Harry Kane. As much as we need to, be wary of players, we still have games to win, and it's not a club's fault that a country competition or a nation competition is scheduled, at that point. And we can't forget about league form. We lose today, it's not the end of the world. We lose today, it could be the end of the world by the end of the season. And it could mean the difference between, getting Champions League or finishing third or finishing 8th or 9th. There is something to play for. And even though it's the last game before that, there's still a lot of football to play. So I think we should, go Richarlison, Kane, Kulusevski. I would also, which is what Frankie's gone with. I would also like to see a 2 in the middle. As much as you don't like him too much, the Viking, I still think Højbjerg and Bentancur should play in the middle. And I think we should go, I assume Romero is fit, but I doubt he plays. So I think we will go Sessegnon, Davis, Dyer. Sorry, Sessegnon, Davis, Longley, Dyer, and I think he goes for Doherty this week, but I wish he would go for Spence. And obviously, Lloris in goal. What are your thoughts?
I think he goes Lloris, Dyer, Longley, Davis. I think Perisic starts left wing back. Højbjerg and Bentancur. And I hate to say it, but Emerson Royale will start right wing back. There's no point in saying he won't. And then Rishi Kane.
Oh, Cess is injured.
Oh, is he?
Shock horror.
So Perisic will start then.
Yeah.
The wind probably blew Sessegnon over. He's that weak.
Yeah. Okay. So going with those lineups, on a standard day in the Premier League, should that team be beating Leeds United?
100%. 100%.
Okay. But what do you think will happen? And I want honesty. I don't want, we'll go 2-0 down and then we'll lose 2-1. Honesty. What do you think we will see? Do you think we'll see any kind of reaction, or do you think everyone's got their sandals on?
I think having Richarlison and Decky up front will make a massive difference. I think their aggression and their pressing will cause Leeds a lot of problems. And I think it will help us build up from the back of, build up again and get us higher up the pitch and make us more progressive. So I do think we will win today. I'm just hoping that we don't. I think the problem we've had, and the biggest problem we've had, is without those forward pressing players and the players that can press. We know Kane doesn't like to press too much. He likes to drop into little pockets and play balls behind. But I think with Decky and Richarlison, it'll make a massive difference to the way we play. And I think it'll make a massive difference to our ability to be progressive. And I think we will win. I do think we'll win. I still think we'll concede. We always concede. Yeah. But I think we'll win.
Okay, nice. The only thing that kind of worries me about Leeds is their ability to score goals from the bench. I've seen that Somerville. I think he's now scored 2 and 2 from the bench, and seems a bit of an impact sub for them. I don't know too much about Leeds because they, do you know what? I'm not going to call him Ted Lasso, even though I really want to. Under their manager, I feel that they have got a much better identity than they had under Bielsa, and I feel like they are slightly harder to beat. But again, we're talking about Spurs being a top 4 club, talking about Spurs being a European big club. Well, we need to start acting like one, and we need to say, do you know what? Go and enjoy the World Cup, but wait until the end of the game. Wait until the 90th minute whistle is blown. Get 3 points. Hope that Newcastle drop points. Get back to third in the Premier League before the winter break, and we can start looking at it and say, do you know what? First half of the season wasn't great, but look at where we are.
Yeah, what we got to build on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important. Do I think that because the majority of that starting lineup are going to the World Cup, do I expect them to act like that? No. Should they act like that? Yes. And to be honest, Dave, here's a question, right? And actually, for those that are left in the chat, I want this answered as well. What would it take for you to turn on Conte?
I think I wouldn't turn on Conte until post-January. I want to see who we get in the window, and I want to see how results define us at the end of this season, where we are at the end of this season. That's kind of when I'll, lay my stall out with Conte. At the moment, I'm all in with Conte. He's won everything wherever he's been. You have to back that man and give him the opportunity to do that. Yes, you can fundamentally question him for some of the decisions he makes, but at the end of the day, like I said, we don't see the players in training. We don't know what Spencer's attitude is like in training. We don't know the ins and outs. He sees it every day. Once after he's had a season and a half, two seasons at Tottenham, and he's been able to establish an identity, get the players, and he wants to get in. That's when I will look at where we are with Conte and the results.
Okay, and last question on that: would the way we play football alone impact your decision, or would it have to be, kind of league, or was it always league table based?
I couldn't give a shit how we play as long as we win. We did the fancy football under Pochettino. We won fuck all. We came close, but we still won fuck all. We've done the fancy football. We've tried it, So I think now you have to let Conte do it his way. You have to let Conte play the way he wants to play. People talk about, but we're Tottenham. We play attacking football. I'd rather win trophies and play attacking football. Give me a Carabao Cup every season over attacking football. I literally don't care. I'm at the point, I'm literally at my wit's end waiting for Tottenham to win a trophy, to do something. It's I've had a bet on my dad every single year for the last 10 years that Spurs are going to win a trophy. And I've lost every year. It's cost me £100. So, the way I look at it now is I want that the run to end. We need to win some silverware. Back Conte, let him play the way he wants to play, but give him the players to be able to facilitate the tactics and the way he wants to play. His football isn't all depressive defensive football. We just don't have the players to play the way he wants them to play. It's like he doesn't trust them fully. So I will judge Conte at the end of this season once, because then he's had 2 windows to get players and he wants to get in. And if we're way off it, then I'll be like, okay. But eventually you have to look at it and go, we have had Pochettino, Nuno Espirito Santo, Jose Mourinho, now Antonio Conte. And we always turn on a manager. We always turn around and blame the manager. But guess what? The players are still the fucking same. Lloris, Dyer, Davis, Sanchez. Eventually you got to turn around and say, oh, hang on a minute. Every single manager can't get a tune out of this dross. And you're going to... we sacked Jose Mourinho a week before a cup final. That's the level of our club. So for me, you give him the keys to the kingdom. You let him do exactly what he wants. You let him spend money. Fuck net spend. You let us have an opportunity to compete. If he does that, at the end of the season, you come back and see where we are, then judge us on that.
Nice. And what? There's not really a lot for me to say on that, to be honest. And what a great way to kind of end the show as such. But, it's not over just yet. So, the all-important score predictors. So for those who are betting men and women amongst us, do not follow us for any tips. We do not take any, what do you call it, for any bad bets,
Yeah, but if you win, we have 10%.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Right, so what are you thinking today?
I think we'll be 2-0 down by half time, and we'll win. No, I'm joking. I don't. I think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-3-1.
Okay, lovely. I'm going to go for a depressing 1-0 win. I can see us nicking a goal and then just hanging in there until we go on. But, who knows what's going to happen. Kick-off at 3 o'clock today, so 3 hours until kick-off. So, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Last game before the World Cup. Dave, are you excited for the World Cup or not?
I'm excited for the break from the Premier League more than anything. I am excited for the World Cup. I do think it's a bit of a ball ache being in winter. But, hopefully England can give us a good Christmas present.
Yeah, definitely. And, I just want to touch on that for 1 second before we finish. That, myself and I suppose everybody else involved in this channel, don't condone a lot of things happening with this World Cup. And, we won't be covering kind of any games as such, but we will be covering the Spurs players themselves within the tournament. Just wanted to kind of mention that. But we wish everybody that is going to the World Cup the best, and the players, and enjoy yourselves and respect everybody and all of that good stuff. Anything that you would expect from anywhere else in this fine world, I believe. But anyway, that kind of brings us to an end. Those of you that are watching on YouTube and you're in the chat, hit the like button if you haven't done already. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. If you're watching back a few days later, get a nice comment in, say what you think about Spurs. Don't forget to do all that good stuff. If you are listening on all podcast platforms, again, please do listen all the way through. Please do leave us a review. Everything does help, and we really do appreciate everything that you guys do for us. But Dave, before we finish, you should be back next week with a mystery guest who I still don't know who it is yet. Tell everyone how they can find you.
Usual place, Park Lane Pod on Twitter. There you go, I've got a new one. You can find me there, Park Lane Pod on Twitter, or Park Lane Pod Dave, whichever one you fancy. I'm on both. I'm active on both. And I'm looking forward to being back. And hopefully I can bring you an air of positivity next week and I can be on the show smiling. But if I'm not, I do face a ban from StreamYard. So please be warned.
Excellent. And please don't ban Dave, because then I won't have a co-host for when Wynnie can't make it. But yeah, Wynnie also probably won't be back next week, and nor will I. But Dave will have a mystery guest on, and we'll be talking everything regarding this and a kind of build up to the World Cup. You can follow me at Luke_Park Lane if you'd like, but more importantly, follow Park Lane Podcast or Park Lane Pod, on all social platforms, and Park Lane Podcast on YouTube. Thank you all very, very much for watching. Thank you all for everyone that's in the comments. Have a great rest of your weekend, and let's hope and pray for 3 points today. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.